Hi there, Jennifer here. Today I'm excited to share with you how to crochet the Checkered Rose motif. This motif was inspired by the traditional Irish rose lace design, and I have an example of that here. All Irish rose motifs share some distinct characteristics. They all begin with a chain ring into which is worked double crochet stitches separated by chains to form the spokes of a wheel. The petals are built by working into the chain spaces of the previous round, and each subsequent layer has more stitches and gains in height, so you end up with this three-dimensional layered effect. The process involves some pretty basic stitches like slip stitches, chains, single crochets, and double crochets. You just keep building up layers of petals as you go like that. If you'd like to see how a traditional Irish rose motif is made, I'll leave a link or two in the description. I thought I'd share a little bit about the design process for this blanket and how I went from a traditional Irish rose lace motif to the motif you see here. I love designing blankets from traditional lace motifs, but one of the challenges with translating lace into a blanket design is that it has to be warm and cozy and sturdy enough to hold up to daily wear and tear. To make my motif sturdier, I ended up working a round of single crochet into the center ring, as well as another round of single crochet into the chain spaces and stitches of the wheel. I also designed my rose motif so that there are no gaps in between the rounds of petals. If you remember on the traditional Irish rose motif, these petals were worked into the chain spaces of the previous round, so that leaves a pretty big gap in between the rounds like that. And I wanted to try to create a more solid fabric for my blanket. So what I ended up doing was working the stitches of the petals into the front loops only of the stitches in the previous round. And then into the back loops only, I worked a round of double crochet stitches. This gives the motif a solid fabric, which I think is a bit sturdier for blankets. And here's my finished blanket design, the Checkered Rose Blanket. It features the motif design I'll be showing you today, made with alternating square motifs in blush pink and deep maroon. I'll leave a link to the patterns for both the Checkered Rose Blanket and matching pillow in the description. Let's begin. For this tutorial, I'm using Lion Brand Basic Stitch medium weight acrylic yarn in the color Blush Heather. I'm also using a size H 5mm crochet hook. You'll want to use the size crochet hook that's appropriate for the yarn that you're using, or whatever's listed in the pattern. You'll also need a pair of scissors, a locking stitch marker, and a tapestry needle. We'll start by making a slip knot. And then place that on your hook. And we'll begin round 1 with a chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Next, we're going to make a ring by working a slip stitch into the 5th chain from the hook. That's the first one that you made down here. So insert your hook into that chain, yarn over and pull through, and then pull through the loop on your hook to complete that slip stitch join. See, so we have a ring now, and there's that hole right there. So next, we'll chain 1, and we're going to work 8 single crochets into the ring, so into that hole right there. Insert your hook into that hole, yarn over and pull through, then yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook to complete that single crochet. Let's go ahead and make 7 more. This is 6, and then 7, and oops, might have to move your stitches over a little bit to make space. And there's 8. And then I actually worked over my tail with those last few stitches, so sometimes I can pull the tail a little bit to cinch everything together a little bit. Make it a little more snug and neat. Yeah, there you go. So we should have 8 single crochets into our ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we'll slip stitch to this first single crochet we made to join at the end of our round. And there you go. Round 1 is complete. And now for round 2. We'll start with a beginning 2 double crochet cluster. It's actually a lot easier than it sounds. I'll show you how. Start with a chain 2, and then you're going to work a double crochet into the first single crochet. So this is the same stitch that you joined to at the end of the last round, or the stitch that's at the base of the chain 2 that you just made. It's right there. Go ahead and work a double crochet into that stitch. And that's all there is to it. There's your beginning 2 double crochet cluster. Then go ahead and chain 2. And now we're going to work a real 2 double crochet cluster into the next single crochet. To do this, you'll yarn over, insert your hook into that stitch, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops on your hook. You should have 2 loops on your hook at this point. Yarn over again and insert your hook into that same stitch, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops on your hook again. You should have 3 loops on your hook. So next, you're going to yarn over, and then notice how I'm turning my hook head down. So again, yarn over and rotate your hook down. That's just a little tip to help you get the head of the hook through all of these stitches without snagging anything. So go ahead and pull that yarn over through the 3 loops on your hook, and that completes the 2 double crochet cluster. Chain 2, and then I'll show you this again. So we're making another 2 double crochet cluster in the next stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook into that stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through, and draw through the 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over again, insert your hook into that same stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2 loops on your hook. So you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And there's your completed 2 double crochet cluster. I'll show you one more time, a little faster this time. So chain 2, and then work a 2 double crochet cluster in the next single crochet. Like so. Go ahead and continue working a chain 2 and a 2 double crochet cluster into each single crochet around, and I'll meet you at the end. So I've reached the end of the round. I've made all of my 2 double crochet clusters all the way around, and all I have left to do is make a chain 2, and then we're going to join in the top of our beginning 2 double crochet cluster over here. So I would just go right into that top of the double crochet. So there's your chain, your 2 chains right there that we started with. I would work a slip stitch join in the top of the double crochet instead of the chains. So insert your hook into that double crochet, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through the loop on your hook to complete the slip stitch join. And that is round 2 complete. At the end of this round, you should have 8 2 double crochet clusters and 8 chain 2 spaces. And now for round 3. We'll begin round 3 with a chain 1 and then single crochet in the first stitch of the round. It's the same stitch that you joined to at the end of the previous round. So right there. We'll single crochet in that stitch and then work 3 single crochet in the next chain 2 space. So here's 1, 2, and 3. And then single crochet in the next stitch. This is in the 2 double crochet cluster. Next, work 3 single crochets in the next chain 2 space. And then work a single crochet in the next 2 double crochet cluster. And you can continue working that sequence, making 3 single crochets in each chain 2 space and a single crochet in each 2 double crochet cluster all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end. I've reached the end of my round and I just have a few more stitches to make. I'm going to work 3 single crochet into this last chain 2 space. And then we're going to finish the round by working a slip stitch into the first single crochet from our round. But before we do, I want you to take your hook out and set it aside for a second and grab your locking stitch marker, because we're going to mark one of the loops from our first single crochet before we go ahead and join to it. This is our first single crochet of the round, and we're going to place our stitch marker in that back loop only of the single crochet. So as you see here, these are the top loops of our single crochet, and if you look down at the stitch from above, you'll see that there's this loop is the front loop, and then this loop is the back loop. So the front loop will always be closest to you as you're crocheting, and your back loop will always be the one that's farthest from you as you're crocheting. So go ahead and take your stitch marker and insert it down in between the middle of the stitch, out through the back, capturing that back loop only, and then just close it to lock it. So you see our back loop only is marked for that stitch. And this is we're going to refer to this when we get to round 5. But for now, go ahead and grab your hook again, place the loop back on the hook, and then we'll slip stitch into that single crochet to join and end our round. And we're going to work into both loops. So insert your hook into the front loop and the back loop that you marked with your stitch. Notice how I'm working at the back of the stitch, so you can pull your stitch marker to the front and just insert your hook into both loops behind the stitch marker, and then yarn over and pull through the stitch and through the loop on your hook to complete that slip stitch join. And that is round 3 complete. At the end of this round, you should have 32 single crochet. And now for round 4. In this round, we'll be making our first round of petals. We'll start with a chain 2. And now for each of our stitches that we'll make in this round from this point forward, we're just going to be working in the front loop only of each of these stitches. So just like before when I was telling you about the back loop only, let's take a look at our stitches here. You'll notice that again, this is the front loop and this back here is the back loop. So we're going to be working into just this loop in our next stitch. We're going to make a double crochet into that front loop only. So yarn over, insert your hook into the front loop only. So from the front, insert underneath that front loop and out through the center at the top of the stitch. Yarn over and pull through, then yarn over and pull through 2 loops on your hook, and yarn over and pull through 2 more loops on your hook to complete the double crochet. So you see how there's just 1 loop at the base there of our stitch, and you can see the back loop only is still hanging out there all by itself. So let's do this again. We're going to work 2 double crochets into this next front loop only of the next stitch. So yarn over and insert your hook into the front loop only of that next single crochet, yarn over and pull through, then yarn over and pull through 2 loops on your hook, and yarn over and pull through 2 more loops on your hook to complete the double crochet. We'll do that one more time into the same stitch, same front loop only. Next we'll work another double crochet into the front loop only of the next single crochet. Then chain 2, and we'll slip stitch in the front loop only of the next single crochet. And that is our first petal complete. Let's move on to our next petal, and with this one I'm going to show you a little trick that may help you to maintain even tension. Because I know whenever you're working into the front loop only, it does tend to pull the stitch up quite a bit, and that can make it a little bit more awkward to work your stitch. So let me show you a little trick. Go ahead and chain 2 to start this next petal, and then we'll be working into this next single crochet there. So notice what I'm doing with my thumb and my middle finger as I work into that front loop. We're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the front loop of that next single crochet, yarn over and pull through. Now at this point you can see it's pulling up the loop in that stitch. I actually tend to grab that loop between my thumb and my middle finger, and I'm not really preventing it from getting any bigger. I'm just providing some stability so that I have a little more control as I work the stitch. So you see, just hold that loop between your fingers, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 more loops, and that just kind of holds the stitch in place. I'm just holding the stitch so that it's not moving around. We'll go ahead and do that one more time. Yarn over and insert your hook into the front loop only of the next single crochet, yarn over and pull through, kind of grab that loop with your fingers to give yourself some stability as you work that double crochet. We'll make another double crochet into that same front loop. And we'll do a double crochet into the next stitch, into the front loop only of the next single crochet, holding that loop to maintain some control of our tension. I hope that tip helps you out a little bit. Go ahead and chain 2, and then we'll slip stitch in the front loop only of the next single crochet. Go ahead and continue working that sequence all the way around, making your petals, and I'll meet you at the end. So I've reached the end of my round, and I've completed all of my little petals here. I wanted to show you the back of my work though, so that you can see what these back loops look like. So we've worked into the front loops all the way around, but you can see there's a ridge along the back, and these are all the back loops that we didn't use. And we'll be working into those stitches, into the back loops, in our next round. But before we do, let's go ahead and finish this round. So go ahead and chain 2, and then we're going to join with a slip stitch in the slip stitch join from our previous round. So that is right there. So it's going to be at the base of the chain 2 from the start of the round we're just working on. Right there. So there's the last front loop I worked into. This next thing is actually the slip stitch join from our previous round. So we're going to slip stitch into that. Insert your hook in the slip stitch, yarn over and pull through, and then pull through the loop on your hook to complete the slip stitch join. And that is round 4 complete. You should have 8 petals at the end of this round. Let's begin round 5. As I mentioned before, we'll be working into the back loop only of each of these stitches. So you can see why it was kind of a big help for us to place this marker in the back loop only of the first single crochet, because otherwise it might have been a little bit more difficult to find it with everything we've got going on at the beginning of our round here. So let's go ahead and start with a chain 1, and then find that marked back loop that we have here and insert your hook into that back loop. We're going to slip stitch into that back loop. like so. And that just kind of moves our hook over, moves everything over into that slip stitch, or into that back loop, so we can start our round in the right place. So can you see what that looks like? And we're ready for our first stitch. And actually at this point you can go ahead and remove the stitch marker because we don't really need it anymore. Go ahead and start with a chain 3. We're going to work our next stitch. We're going to double crochet in the next back loop only. So as you can see here, all of these little lines, all of those little strands, horizontal strands, those are all back loops we're going to be working into in this round. It may help if you pull the petals forward a little bit, then you can see them really easily. So let's go ahead and work a double crochet in this next back loop only. And just like before, you can kind of hold that back loop to gain some control over your stitch tension there. So we'll work another double crochet in this next back loop only. Go ahead and yarn over and pull through, and then grab that stitch to kind of give yourself some stability. So next we're going to work 2 double crochets in the next back loop only. And then we'll work another double crochet in the next back loop. Work a double crochet in the next back loop. Work 1 more double crochet in the next back loop. Then work 2 double crochets in the next back loop. So that's our sequence. You'll work a double crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 single crochets, and then work 2 double crochets in the back loop only of the next single crochet. You can continue that sequence all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end. I've reached the end of the round, and I just have 1 more back loop to work into. You can see it right there. I'm going to work 2 double crochet into that back loop only. So we're back to the beginning, and this is our beginning chain 3 right here. So just like at the end of round 3, I want you to take out your hook and set it aside. Pull out your loop a little bit so you don't lose your stitch, and grab your stitch marker. And at the top of your beginning chain 3 here, you'll notice that's our 3rd chain right here. I want you to mark the back loop of that chain, kind of like what we did with our first single crochet at the end of round 3. We're going to insert our stitch marker down through the center of the stitch and out the back to mark that back loop only. Go ahead and close up your locking stitch marker and let the marker drop to the front. Pick up your hook again, place the loop back on your hook, cinch it up a little bit, and then we're going to slip stitch in the top of that beginning chain 3. So into both loops of the chain that I just marked. So we'll insert our hook into that front loop as well as the marked, come on now, the marked back loop there. So see, both loops are on the hook. And then yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook to complete the slip stitch join. And with that, round 5 is complete. At the end of this round, you should have 40 double crochet. And now on to round 6. This next round is very similar to what we did in round 4, in that we'll just be making petals into the front loops only of each of the stitches around. So to get started, go ahead and make a chain 2, and then we're going to work a double crochet in the front loop only of the next double crochet. So just like before, you can yarn over and insert your hook into the front loop only, yarn over and pull through, grab that loop with your fingers to hold it steady, and complete the double crochet. You'll work 2 double crochets into the next double crochet, working just into that front loop only. So there's my first double crochet and my second double crochet. And then we'll work 1 double crochet into the front loop only of the next double crochet. Just like so. Then chain 2, and we'll slip stitch in the front loop only of the next double crochet. Chain 2 again, and we'll do this sequence one more time. So double crochet in the front loop only of the next double crochet, 2 double crochets in the front loop only of the next double crochet. There's our second double crochet, and then we'll work 1 more double crochet in the next double crochet, in the front loop only of the next double crochet. And then chain 2 and slip stitch in the front loop of the next double crochet. So there you go, that's our sequence. Go ahead and continue working in that sequence to make petals all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end. I've reached the end of the round and I've made all my petals all the way around. I just have 1 more front loop to work into. I'm going to work a double crochet into the front loop only of that last double crochet, and then chain 2. And just like at the end of round 4, we're going to work a slip stitch into the slip stitch join at the end of our previous round. So right there. So right there, insert your hook in that slip stitch, yarn over and pull through, and then pull through the loop on your hook to complete the slip stitch join. Might have to fold your petals back to make it look pretty again. And that is round 6 complete. At the end of this round, you should have 10 petals. Let's begin round 7. So just like in round 5, we'll be working into the back loop only of each stitch around. So again, these are the unused back loops that we'll be working into. You can start just like before with a chain 1, and then find our marked back loop. That's the back loop of the first stitch, or I guess it was the top of the chain 3. That is the, first double crochet of that round. Go ahead and slip stitch in that marked back loop. You can go ahead and remove the marker at this point and set it aside. We won't be needing it again for this motif. And then go ahead and chain 2. And in this round, this counts as the first half double crochet of the round. Next, you'll work a half double crochet in the back loop only of this next stitch. And then go ahead and work a half double crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch. We'll be working a half double crochet into the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you should, including the first stitch, you should have 8 half double crochets made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Next, you'll work 2 double crochets in the back loop of the next stitch. So here's our first double crochet and our second double crochet. And then chain 2 and work 2 double crochets in the back loop only of the next stitch. Here's 1 and 2. And then you'll work a half double crochet in the back loop of each of the next 8 stitches. So here's 1, 2, 3. Again, you have to kind of pull these petals forward so you can see your stitches. So you can see those back loops. That's 4 and 5, 6, 7, and finally we have 8. So as you can see, this is our squaring off round, because this is our first corner over here, and now we have kind of a straight side. So we're turning a circle into a square with this round. Go ahead and continue working in that sequence, working, 8 half double crochets and then your double crochet corners separated by chain 2 spaces. Go ahead and continue that all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the beginning. I've reached the end of my round, and I just made 8 half double crochets there, and I have 2 more back loops left. I'm going to work 2 double crochet in this next back loop only, and then chain 2 and work 2 more double crochet in this final back loop. And then, so we're back to the beginning. Go ahead and slip stitch in the top of this beginning chain 2. So 1, 2, right there. I'm going to insert my hook into that chain. And for some reason it's really tight. I'm going to make a slip stitch to join and end our round. So just like before, you may have to unfold your petals to make it look pretty again. But as you can see, we have what is starting to look like a square. At the end of this round, you should have 32 half double crochets, 16 double crochets, and 4 chain 2 spaces. And now for our final round. This is round 8. We'll start with a chain 3. This counts as our first double crochet. Now, sometimes I notice after I've completed a round that began with a chain 3, you might see that there's a noticeable gap between it and the stitches around it, because it's not quite as thick as those other stitches. If you'd like to avoid that, I can show you a little trick. It's called a stacked single crochet. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this out, and I'll show you how to do a stacked single crochet. You'll start with a chain 1, and then we're going to insert our hook. We're going to make a single crochet into that first stitch, so the top of the chain 2 that began our last round. Insert your hook there, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through the 2 loops on your hook to complete that single crochet. Now we're going to insert our hook in that front leg of our single crochet. So you can go ahead and insert your hook there, and then I like to also flip my work over So this is the back side showing right now. I'm going to pull this other back loop over and insert my hook behind it as well. So as you can see from the front, we have those two loops that are at the two legs that are at the front of our stitch. I've gone through both of them. We're going to yarn over and pull through both of those legs. So we're pulling through the middle of the stitch. I have two loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through both of them, and that's our stacked single crochet. I have a whole nother video that shows, in depth how to do that. I'll go ahead and link to that here. But I'm going to go ahead and move on. I mean, if you really wanted to just begin with a chain 3, that would be fine too. I just wanted to show you this little trick to give you an alternative. And then we're going to go ahead and double crochet in each stitch across till we get to the chain 2 space. So we'll double crochet. Again, in this round, we're working into both loops. So go ahead and work your double crochet as you normally would into that next half double crochet, and then double crochet in the next half double crochet, and just keep working double crochets all the way around to that next chain 2 space. So this might be the easiest round of the whole motif. Nice and simple. It's our reward for all of those petals. Now we get a nice, easy, straightforward round. Okay, I'm coming up on my chain 2 space here. I've reached the chain 2 space. I'm just going to work 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet into that chain 2 space. So here's our first double crochet and our second double crochet into that chain 2 space, chain 2, and we'll work 2 more double crochet into that same chain 2 space. And that's your sequence. We're going to work a double crochet in each stitch all the way around till you get to the chain 2 space. Work 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet into that chain 2 space. Continue that all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end. I've reached the end of the round, and I just have a few more stitches to make. Here's our last chain 2 space. I'm going to work 2 double crochet into that chain 2 space, and then chain 2, and work 2 more double crochet into that same chain 2 space. And then double crochet in each of these last 2 stitches. And then join with a slip stitch in the top of your beginning chain 3 or the top of your stacked single crochet, whichever one you chose to do. Then you can go ahead and pull up your loop and take out your hook and grab your scissors. Go ahead and cut your yarn. Go ahead and pull the tail through the loop and cinch it up, and then unfold your petals and press them flat, and your motif is complete. At the end of this round, you should have 64 double crochet and 4 chain 2 spaces. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and that you have a lot of fun crocheting these rose motifs. What colors would you use for your checkered rose blanket or pillow? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your ideas. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more crochet techniques, tips, and tutorials, and check out the links in the video notes for more ways to find me and my patterns.